Hello and welcome to Sportspage. I'm Brad Hadank. In this program, I will sit down with various University of Central Missouri athletes, coaches, and supporting staff. These individuals help make Mules and Jenny's athletics a success. Today, Mules Wrestling joins the show. This is Sportspage. Our first guest today is Mules Wrestling head coach Cody Garcia, who is in his fourth season as head coach for the Mules. Coach Garcia has led the Mules to a 9-6 overall record this regular season, going 3-2 in the MIAA. Coach Garcia, welcome to Sportspage.
Hey, thanks for having us.
So UCM as a team right now is ranked 13th in the nation in Division II heading into the postseason. What does that number say about this group?
Well, I think it reflects a lot of things, right? Hopefully it showcases the work power these guys put in, the belief that they have and the confidence they have going, and ultimately, hopefully the courage they need to go attack this weekend, right? This is a big weekend for us. This dictates kind of who can go to the national tournament, and when you're at the national tournament, that's when points are held, and honestly, that's where the end of the season finishes, shows up.
Yeah, talking about that weekend, I hear you leave on Saturday. Could you take me through that process of this weekend?
I would try to stay as routine as possible, right? We want to make sure with weight management, things like that, it's important for them to kind of know what's coming. We'll take off Saturday, get there, get a good workout. We'll have our seating meeting, so we finalize where we're at in the bracket, and then Sunday morning, be ready to go.
Looking at the regular season, you went 9-6 overall, 3-2 in the MIAA. Now in the conference, you have Central Oklahoma and Nebraska Kearney, who are number 1 and 2 in the nation. What is that level of competition in the conference? How does that help you as you continue in the postseason?
Yeah, I think it's important for us to just throughout the year we kind of know where we stack up. I think you have to have be challenged, right? Welcome challenges. Those teams have done a great job. They're kind of a staple of Division II wrestling, and we're really our trajectory is to we want to not only compete with them but pass them up.
And you had Nebraska Kearney at home at the Hughes Athletic Center. You went on the road to Edmond to face off against UCO. You're on the road again to Edmond for the Super Regional. Is that sort of familiarity going to help your wrestlers, you think, at all?
It is. That was the last trip we took. We're going to stay in the same hotel. Again, the more routine we can be and have familiarity, I think it's important. Ultimately, again, we have prepared. We've done the things we need to compete. So if we can minimize some of the distractions, things they have to worry about, and just focus on the task at hand, that benefits us.
I talked to you earlier this season ahead of the home duels against Ouachita Baptist and Nebraska Kearney. One of the things you told me was that wrestling is still wrestling. And I was asking you about the rules. But while that's still true, postseason wrestling seems a little bit different. How do you view that in your eyes?
Yeah, I think that's the thing, going back to confidence and courage. Guys need to try to wrestle to their strengths. Obviously, you manage matches maybe a little bit different. We don't want them to change how they wrestle necessarily, but obviously, it's going to be matches that are tight, right? So, just being able to finish periods on top, being able to go get that last takedown, those show up. I think you're not going to have as many matches where there's bonus points. That's the nature of it, and we got to be excited about that.
Looking individually, you have 4 wrestlers ranked in the top 15 in Division II according to the NWCA. What is that level of individuality in the wrestlers being in the top 15? How does that help a program late in the season?
It does. I think being able to look around the room and see other guys that are having success at a high level, expectations, right? Feeling like, hey, I deserve to be here. I've earned this opportunity to be successful. I've earned this ranking, but I still got to go do it, right? And still got to put the work in. I think we'll have 4 to 5 guys that are going to be seated in the top 3. Top 3 qualifies you for nationals, and we have another 4 or 5 guys kind of right outside of that through the 4 through 6 range. So again, we're going to have to go compete.
And you have Damon Ashworth on your squad, ranked number 1 in 184, a redshirt senior. How much of a leader has he been for this team?
I think, again, just seeing somebody like that's in the room every day, go out and dominate, I think he's done it in a fashion that, again, for me, it's not a matter of, hey, is this guy going to win? It's like, hey, can we separate ourselves? Can we go send a message, especially at the regional tournament, right? We got a couple guys that are ranked nationally in there, so it's important for him to finish things off and just really sharpen, get an edge to him heading into the national tournament, because, again, that's where he wants to make his mark.
And you have a deep roster. We were looking at 125 earlier this season. In your home tournament, you had 3 wrestlers place highly in 125. Talk about a guy like Aiden Flores, who went toe-to-toe with Damon Ashworth in a match. That depth, how does that help, especially in practice?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I think that's when you have to be battle-tested, and when you know you've been pushed in the room, right, that gives you a little more confidence. And that's probably one thing that we have done better this year, and we've had more depth in the room than we've ever had. That's something that you got to have. And not only because you need the workout partners, because things come up. And we got guys, a couple weights that weren't starting a month and a half ago.
And looking towards this postseason, is there something you want to see your team do a little differently than happened in the regular season at all?
I think just continue to compete with a lot of heart. I think that's a little subjective, right? But at the same time, I think that's something that if they can just showcase the work they've put in, we're going to be there to support them through it.
And as a coach, how do you foster that heart, that mentality?
I think just helping them remember and reminding them daily, the work they've put in. It's easy to kind of silo and start thinking about just the moment so much, but when you can fall back on all the work you've put in, the things you've done, the growth you've had this season, I think that gives you some confidence and excitement to go just do what you know you can do.
And we talked about those 4 wrestlers ranked in the top 15 according to the NWCA. I know you may have a role in those rankings. Could you tell our viewers how those come to be every month?
Yeah, so there's there's 6 super regionals. Obviously they'll have 3 qualifiers, 18 at the national tournament. Essentially what we do, we get 12 of us, 2 reps from each of those super regions together, and just work through it. It's a process. It's a mess. It's good to see there's more crossover. We didn't go to Midwest this year. We didn't go to national duels this year, so that limited a little bit of our crossover. But at the same time, we've seen some great competition. So hopefully, our records, our wins, our losses kind of reflect that, and that's what put us in position to have multiple guys ranked.
And you talked about the heart from your guys this season. Has there been an overall theme or message from you this year, or is it just wrestling is wrestling?
Yeah, it's individualized. It's a unique sport in that sense that it is an individual sport. That support system is huge, though, right? And having some cohesion, having energy to build off of is still really important. But each guy's a little bit different. Even going into this week, right? How we talk to each guy is dependent on his mindset, right? Some guys, you got to calm them down a little bit. Some guys, you got to build them up and get them excited. So it's just us having a good understanding of what our guys need.
You talked about the individual aspect of the sport, and we've talked about how competitive your specific wrestling room is. How does that work as a team? Because you want to be gelled as a team, but you have guys who want to beat each other to be in that top 10.
Right, yeah, it's a delicate, balance, right? It's a delightful challenge for us as coaches to how do we be intentional about building team power, but also, right, with the understanding of, hey, we at the end of the day, we need 10 guys that are ready to compete at a high level and compete for a national title. Hopefully, within that 10, or outside of that 10, you got another 20 that kind of have that same mindset. And that's just how do you continue to build it and know that, hey, I need people to push me every day to get better. So I think that's something that we've talked about a lot. It's like you can't have this mindset of me, right? There's still got to build into other people. There's a lot of opportunity, right? A lot of opportunity for success, a lot of opportunity for happiness. So we don't have to feel like it's only for us.
How do you choose those top 10 as a head coach? Is it wrestle-offs? Is there something else? Is it a combination of things?
Yeah, it's typically a combination. We have tournaments throughout the year that kind of establish lineup, and then guys that go perform. Some guys perform better in competition than they do in practice, and that's just the nature of it.
And looking at your wrestling team this season, you have some seniors. I know you probably don't want to move past this season yet, but how do you make that balance? You look at this season, but you also think about next season with who may be on your team.
Yeah, just being where our feet are. I think that's the most important thing for these seniors to understand and appreciate the moment they're in, and for these young guys to, hey, why not now, right? It doesn't have to be junior, senior year. They can be the guy right now. So just understanding that, hey, this is an important moment, and the next thing we go attack is the next most important thing.
Talking about the senior group as a whole, how important have they been to shaping this program to where it is now?
No, they've been tremendous. You think about the things where we were 4 years ago compared to now. They have a lot of impact on that, and even guys like Gage who weren't here, he transferred in, but has kind of elevated the standard, right? That's what you want to see. Guys that come in want to make sure they leave a place better than they found it.
And you've been here for 4 years now. You've built this program to be number 13th in the nation as a team. So looking at this group, this would be the first group of 4-year guys that you have built through their collegiate journey. Is there something special about that for you?
You know, in the sense of it's exciting to see them have ownership in the program and the direction of it and what's to come. I think that's the coolest thing for me, to be able to serve them in that way and hopefully keep building into the legacy that they create.
And I want to talk about practice. You've talked about the preparation. Your guys will have Saturday off, but between now and then, this is on Thursday right now, what will practice look like today, tomorrow, to shape up for the Super Regional?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of one of those cliche, you know, Hayes in the barn type moments, right? We're not going to overtrain at this point, or we're not going to overthink positions. I think just be confident once you do. The weight management piece is still important. They got to take care of that stuff. But these guys know what they're good at. They know what they need to continue to wrestle through, and I'm excited for them to just get there. And anticipation, that's probably the hardest part is, hey, we still got a few days, right? Don't wrestle 14 matches in your head daily all the way there.
And you've been in wrestling your whole life. Your father, Mike Garcia, was a big wrestler. You were a wrestler in Nebraska. How does this shape up, like preparing for a Super Regional as a coach, as opposed to maybe when you're seeing your father wrestle or when you're preparing to wrestle when you were in college? Mm-hmm. Is this a different experience as the coaching side?
I think each experience, each year is a new experience, and each feeling is different. I still get, you know, butterflies just as much as these guys do. Usually mine don't hit till Sunday morning, but just again excited for them and grateful that they get the opportunity to go showcase the work they put in.
And back in college, you won 2 national championships. You know what it takes. So does that help you shape this team from the coaching side? Because those are 2 very different things, wrestling and coaching.
Right. Yeah. It's you know, something that I want to be relying on as far as, hey, what did I do well to have success? How can I encourage these guys to build into those concepts? But also know that each guy is different, you know, and my experience is my experience, and I was very fortunate to have a great experience. So how to help these guys make the most of theirs.
Could you take me through those key differences versus being a wrestler and then the coaching side?
Well, honestly, this is way harder. This is way harder. When I was competing, I was, you know, right. They always talk about, you know, control the controllables, right? That the thing when I was competing, I knew I can control my effort and the things I needed to do. I could dictate what was happening on the match. I'm just in the corner now and trying to give as much encouragement and follow through as I can, but at the end of the day, it's on them, and I just get the best seat in the house.
As a coach now, do you ever throw the headgear on in practice? Is that something you do?
I don't. I still wrestle a little bit, not as much as I used to. Once I hit about 38, it got a little tougher. At 40, I feel practice is a little more. Definitely no headgear, though. Obviously, the ears kind of reflect that. Once I was done competing, I vowed to never put a headgear on again. So, but yeah, it's important for me to stay in there. You know, I think as far as connecting with guys, right? Even the lightweights, sometimes I probably connect with lightweights more when I am wrestling with them, just because you're in the trenches with them. There's that vulnerability. There's just something about being able to connect with guys on that level. And for me as a coach, you know, I don't ever want to be the coach that doesn't understand positions anymore, because wrestling adapt, you know, it evolves, all the different things, the styles, so it's important for me to stay up on the game, right? So for me to stay on the mat as long as I can while still trying to take care of my body is a good thing.
And while we have just a few more moments, is there one thing you want the viewers to know about this Mules wrestling team as you head to the postseason?
Yeah, they're just a tenacious group, right? And they're a fun group to watch. And encourage you to follow along best you can, and if you don't get a chance to see them this year, next year they'll be here sooner than we think.
Well, Coach, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, UCM wrestler Gage Bernall will join us right after this. Welcome back to Sportspage. In this next segment, we are joined by Mules wrestler Gage Bernall. Gage is a redshirt senior who is ranked 7th in the 165-pound weight class in Division II, according to the NWCA. Gage, welcome to Sportspage.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, first I have to ask about the hair. You don't always see that long of hair from a wrestler. What made you want to grow it out?
I think it's kind of just something a little flashy, a little bit different. Yeah. And I've always kind of enjoyed growing out my hair, so yeah.
And in wrestling, I'm sure that gets pulled. How do you deal with that?
Honestly, you don't even really notice it.
Really?
It definitely happens sometimes. Mostly it gets caught on the mat. Okay. But yeah, I mean, you just don't really feel it. Your adrenaline's going and Don't even notice it.
I didn't know if guys like intentionally ever tried to, if you had that?
I don't think so.
That's good.
Maybe, but just don't even really notice it.
Yeah.
Don't let it bother you.
Yeah. You began your collegiate journey before Central Missouri. You were at Lander University. What made you head out to South Carolina, Lander, to start off?
One, I really just liked the East Coast, and I kind of wanted to get out of Colorado a little bit and see something different, and something just, I made a connection with someone at Lander, and it worked out.
Did you get a nice ocean view from your dorm room?
Not quite. We were a little far from the beach. It was about 3.5 hours, but still really nice out there, really pretty town. So
Yeah, and you found success at Lander in the 2022-23 season. You were a national qualifier at 157. What was that year like for you?
it was definitely interesting. I started out at 65s, and halfway through the season, I kind of lost my spot, and they asked me if I wanted to go down to 57s, and I decided why not. I mean, if I could make the starting lineup any way you can, and found some success there, and yeah.
And you specifically, how do you cut that weight?
That was not a great cut, but I mean, a lot of running, a lot of sweating, really. I mean, just kind of mostly water weight for the most part, but the diet definitely had to change, and kind of getting your metabolism higher and getting your stomach shrunk was a big part of it. So.
And you're back to 165 here at UCM. You're ranked 7th in Division II according to the NWCA. Is that a big jump going from 57 to 65 or vice versa?
Not really, because I've wrestled 65 before. I started out my college career at 65, so I've been there. I've felt that weight, and I think it just kind of felt a little more natural for me. So.
Yeah, seeing that number 7 next to your name, especially heading into the postseason, is that some inspiration for you? Is that a good sign, or do you see it as like they think 6 are better than me and I'm going to prove them wrong?
I think it gives me a little bit of confidence, but at the end of the day, you just got to go out and do it. And I think the rankings can be fun to look at, but I mean, you got to stay focused and know that anybody can really beat anyone, and that also gives me confidence, because I believe I can beat anybody. So
yeah, you're one of 4 UCM wrestlers ranked inside of the top 15. Could you take me through how competitive is that wrestling room here in Central?
Yeah, no, that's actually something that I love, and that's kind of one of the reasons why I came out here, is because I knew we had some guys who were really good and competitive, and that's a room that you want to be in, because that's a room that's going to help you grow as a wrestler, even if not everyone's close to your weight class. But yeah, I mean, that competitiveness just kind of drives you a little more, and it keeps a good energy in the room.
And you have 2 days now before you hit the road to Edmond, Oklahoma for the Super Regional. What are these 2 days going to look like for you in preparation to that Super Regional?
Nothing really different. Just kind of staying to what I've been doing. I've been wrestling really well all year, and just kind of staying in my routine and not trying to change anything. So, yeah.
And you were a national qualifier, we talked about it, at Lander in 57 2 years ago. That experience, being in the postseason, having those experiences, how does that help you now as a redshirt senior?
I think that helps a ton, because I've been there, I've felt that pressure, and I know what it's like to be at the tournament, so I think that gives me a huge upper hand in it. And yeah, I mean, it's nothing new, just treat it as another day.
And talk me through that pressure. What feels different, because it feels win or go home? I know there can be wrestlebacks, but what's the difference then in postseason versus regular season?
I think at the end of the year, some guys kind of panic. They think they got to do too much, but you really just got to trust what you've done all season long, and trust that you have done everything right to lead up to this moment, and you don't really need to do too much more, and just trust on the training that you've done all year.
And the MIAA conference has a lot of good quality wrestling. We saw the Nebraska Kearney duel. You were ranked 5th. You saw the number 6 ranked wrestler. You went on the road to UCO, who's the number 1 team in the nation in wrestling. How do those experiences shape this postseason that's upcoming?
I think those experiences help a ton because you get that competition that you'll get at nationals and regionals, and you kind of get to feel it out, and win or lose, you learn from it. And I think that's a huge part of leading up to the postseason is getting those experiences, because it makes you ready.
And then how are things going to look for you when you're in Edmond on that first match day? What's the preparation look like?
Same thing really as I've always done. Just get a right amount of food. Don't overeat. Don't undereat. Kind of get your body feeling right for that first match, and just be ready to wrestle. Same thing as always.
And there's something I think everyone out there may want to know. Have you found as a wrestler a certain comfort food that's like super healthy that people need to know about?
Watermelon.
Really?
Yes, that's my go-to. Yep, watermelon and honey. Those are the two big ones that I kind of fall on.
Can you find watermelon in the winter?
You can. It's not quite as good, but I mean, it still does what it needs to do for you. So, yeah.
And recently in wrestling, I want to ask you about this. This was a few years ago, but some of the rules changed. Takedowns used to be 2 points, at least in high school. Now they're 3. I mean, 3-minute periods in college, at least the first period, and the next 2 are 2 minutes. Was that a big change for you, transitioning from high school to college?
Yeah, no, the 3-minute first period was a huge change. You definitely feel that first period a lot more. And, I mean, you'll get through about 2 minutes and realize, like, this is a long match. It's a little tougher than high school was, but, yeah, I mean, you adjust to it throughout the years and you get used to it, and it's just another match at that point.
Talking about those rule changes, if you were in charge of the rules, would anything change?
Probably. Maybe riding time would be a little bit different, but
yeah,
I wouldn't change too much. I really do like the 3-point takedown that they added.
Yeah, I mean, it makes a big difference, especially the reversals are 2 points, the escapes 1. It puts a lot more emphasis on the offense. Is that something that's big for you?
Yeah, no, I mean, I love wrestling on my feet. I think I got a really good defense, so I think that helps my offense. And yeah, going and getting that 3-point takedown just makes a big difference. So.
And we talked about your offense and your defense. If you were to pinpoint something that you would say is your biggest strength at this point, is there something you look to, or do you see yourself all around? Is it all clicking right now?
I mean, I definitely have my strengths, and I know what those are, and I'll kind of focus on those. But overall, I think I'm pretty confident in everything that I can do, and every position that I've been in, I feel good and confident. So.
And I know a lot of the people in the wrestling community, they do other things in the off-season. They'll do MMA, they'll do other kinds of fighting. Is that something you were ever into, or has it all been this style of wrestling?
Just this style. Last year was actually the first time I wrestled freestyle. I've kind of practiced it in the past, but the first time I actually competed in a tournament was last summer. But I kind of grew up playing football and baseball my whole life. So all the way through high school, I mean, once wrestling season was done, I was pretty much into baseball. But
do you see being a multi-sport athlete in high school really improving your wrestling skills? Has that been a big benefit for you?
Yeah, I think it does help. It gives you a different perspective on different sports and kind of just different movements, and kind of really building on different strengths of your body and improving those. So, yeah.
And you're talking about different movements. Wrestling is a very technical sport.
Yeah.
A lot of people wouldn't know it. They look and they say, okay, the strongest guy is going to win. It's not exactly the case. Could you take people through that technical side, why that's such a big difference maker?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things is leverage in wrestling. The strength is definitely nice to have, but I think technique and leverage, if you know how to use your leverage, it completely overpowers strength. So.
And one of the helpers with those techniques are your coaches, I hear, or your bench player, anybody. It seems like people aren't on the mat. They're yelling you a lot of instructions.
Yep.
Are you able, through the headgear during a match, are you able to pick that out? Can you even hear anything that anybody's saying?
Sometimes you can hear little things, but for the most part, you don't hear much. I mean, you're kind of concentrated, but you do hear things every once in a while, and you'll pick up on them. But yeah, you just gotta kind of try to focus on what you're doing and stay confident and trust in your coaches when they do tell you something, and listen to them.
And while we just have a few more moments here, I asked Coach Garcia the same thing to end the interview, and I want to ask you, for someone who doesn't know much about this Mules wrestling team, what would you want them to know as you head to the postseason?
I'd say we're a lot tougher than I think even our record shows. I think those matches that we did lose, I think it was a lot closer than the scores were. And I'm excited to see what we'll do, and I think we can make a real good push this year.
Well, Gage, best of luck in the postseason, and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
Well, that's all of the time we have for this episode. I'd like to thank our guests, Coach Cody Garcia and Gage Bernall, for joining me today. My name is Brad Hadank, and I thank you for tuning in to Sportspage.